Hello, I'm Kenny Anderson, Director of Multicultural Affairs for the City of Huntsville, and this is Impact. This is a show that basically highlights many of the things that are happening in our community and tries to give you a little backstory on some of the things that are actually right here in our community that you may or may not be familiar with. And of course, we're always excited about the wonderful things that are going on, and this forum provides us with another opportunity to be able to share some of those great things. Joining me today is Caroline Kelly. She's Development Director with the Burritt on the Mountain, and it's my first time talking with her on the air.
That's right.
We're glad to have you here today.
Thank you. I'm so excited about being here.
And also, you brought some company with you.
I did. I brought Kelly Fisk, who is the director of our historic park.
I'm happy to be here too. Love to share anything about Burritt. We're always excited about what we have going on up here on the mountain.
You know, I can tell already that you guys, not only are you knowledgeable about what you're doing, but you're very excited and very passionate about what goes on at Burritt.
Yeah.
And this for me is a great opportunity, I think, because I know, Caroline, you and I have talked already about how do we get the word out about Burritt even more. You can have a great treasure, local treasure, that people somehow overlook for various reasons. And although Burritt gets lots of traffic, lots of great things going on up there, Barron's Bluff, the new facility is just an awesome facility for people to come and have events. And I know you get a lot of that traffic. There's still far too many people, as I know, who don't know the treasure that Burritt is. So we're glad that you're here to tell us a little something about it. If there was one thing that you wanted people to know about the Burritt, what would that thing be? I know there may be many things. I'm kind of narrowing you down to one thing.
It's so hard to say, but I think a lot of it is fun education. If you know, there are a lot of people that wonder how you can have fun education, but it's all, we want to share our history in this area. And so when you go in the historic park or in the Burt Mansion, there's a lot to see and something to learn and a lot of hands-on activities. So there's, you know, of course our website has all the things, but there's something going on all the time, and we tried to incorporate music and different aspects, but we try to make it fun, but you come away having learned something too.
So we won't characterize the average Burritt visitor, but I can tell from what you just said. I would imagine that the Burritt has something for families.
That's correct.
That the Burritt definitely has something for people who are interested in learning.
Yep.
That the Burritt has something for people who have a historical bent.
Yes.
People who are looking for dynamic and engaging experiences. It sounds like this would be the perfect location for somebody to find themselves. Kelly, would you agree with that?
I would absolutely agree. One of my favorite things about Burritt is that we have things that you really can't find anywhere else, really anywhere else in the world, but especially anywhere else in our area. The houses in our historic park are all actually from Madison County and this area of North Alabama. We know about the families who built the houses, and we can even tell you where the houses came from, and you might drive by that street every day. And it really adds another dimension to what it's like to live in Huntsville when you know what it was like to live in Huntsville 200 years ago. Wow. And I think that connection we have with our real history that was really here is something that you can't always get in other places. Yeah. So that's one of my favorite things about Burritt. Not to mention the incredibly unique Burt Mansion and Dr. Burritt himself, who is the reason that the museum is there, and he has an interesting story of his own as well.
He really does. I still hear, in fact, just this past Saturday, somebody learned that I was from Burritt on the Mountain, and they said, oh, I want to tell you about Dr. Burritt. And there are still people alive today who had dealings with him, who remembered him as a child. They may have seen him driving his 1949 DeSoto, mint green DeSoto, right-handed drive DeSoto around the city. That's the one at the museum. You can see it, and it's been restored, and it's just pristine. So the stories about Dr. Burritt are very interesting. He was a very eclectic and interesting man. And
tell us a little something about who he was. Let's demystify the Burritt myth.
Well, he was a third-generation homeopathic physician, and he grew up here in Huntsville. He was born in 1869, and he used to have goats, and he loved goat's milk, and he would deliver goat's milk to the children's hospital. I had a woman tell me recently that when she was born, she was deathly ill, could not drink her mother's milk. She was wasting away as a newborn. They didn't know what to do, and somebody said, you know, Dr. Burritt has goat's milk, and he swears by it. And Dr. Burritt, the father went to Dr. Burritt up on the mountain to his home, and Dr. Burritt gave him the goat's milk, and the lady is still alive today. She said she was fat and happy very quickly. But the story of how he got the house on the mountain and how that happens to be the second house on the mountain because the first one burned down. There's just so many interesting stories about him and his philanthropy throughout the city of Huntsville.
Yeah, so the Burritt, when people say the Burritt, a lot of times they're thinking about the mansion itself. And tell us a little something about that facility because people can tour it.
Right.
The mansion is open every day with regular admission. You get to come into the mansion and also into the historic park where you see people dressed like me. But the mansion is so unique. It was Dr. Burt really designed it in a deliberate way. He in a lot of ways the design is in line with some of his homeopathic principles. So he reused a lot of materials that actually had been used in other homes. He insulated the entire home with straw bales. So there's actually stacked bales of straw inside the walls of the home insulating it, which nowadays people would call green or environmentally friendly. But at the time he thought, why not use a natural material because it works just as well. And so, of course, the house did burn down the first time it was built.
But it wasn't because of the hay.
It wasn't because of the straw, but it didn't
hurt it. That's right.
But he built it again, and there's straw in the second house also. And it's in a really unique shape. It's in the shape of a Maltese cross, kind of like an X, and it allows for lots of natural sunlight and cross ventilation. Just the other day, I actually opened 2 of the doors of the house and was so impressed by the breeze that came through. It was this weekend. It's such a beautiful day to be up there at the mansion and on the mountain.
Yeah.
So and the longer you spend in the house, the more you learn about just the unique little touches Dr. Burritt put into it. I could go on for hours.
Sure, sure.
Two of the wings of the mansion are used for exhibits. Kelly just curated an exhibit recently, but we have rotating exhibits that may include what we have in our own archives, and that might be Whedon prints. We have the largest public collection of Howard Whedon art, and it might be something about the Hotel Montesano, or as we have right now, we have a borrowed exhibit. We have people that come and donate, maybe something they collect, something that they study, something that really interests them. And therefore, it may be something you have no chance of seeing anywhere else. So the exhibits are really, really good, and they're part of the admission charge.
And they change every season also,
right.
So you can see something different every time.
Oh, that's good. And that really allows a connection, a sustained connection between the community and the mansion itself.
Sure.
Because if someone is actually sharing that information, then they're maintaining that contact and that ongoing legacy of historic Huntsville. Now, because I've been up on the mountain several times, I know that the Burritt is more than just the museum. And when we say Burritt on the mountain, then we're talking about lots of things that go on up there.
That's
all
right.
kinds of things all year long.
That's right.
And so just talk about some of the exciting things that people might experience over the course of a year at the Burritt.
We have festivals. We have 3 festivals a year. We have Spring Farm Days, and a typical thing that you might see there are in the historic park, they're getting ready for, as a farmer would have done with his family, getting ready for summer in the spring. And one of the really great things is our sheep shearing. And that's a great exhibit. And then during the fall, we have International Heritage Festival. Because Huntsville is such a transient town and such an international town, we have over 100 different cultures here in this area alone. So we have people come up and represent their cultures through their music, their food, their dress, their, all types of things from their homeland. And then we have Candlelight Christmas. And so I was going to get you to tell about something that's also done in the historic park. We use the historic park for everything, but I think that Kelly could tell you something that you can find every weekend.
Yes, we have regular events in the historic park where each Saturday and Sunday you can come up for a program that we call Step Back in Time. So this is every Saturday and every Sunday at 1:30. This is with regular admission. You can come in, and one of our historic interpreters, dressed like this, will be demonstrating a historic skill or a craft, or telling you a little bit more in depth about certain aspects of the park. Like maybe you'll get a special behind the scenes tour of one of the houses and really learn about the family that built that house and what their life was like. Or maybe you'll get to see, just this weekend actually, we're going to have someone working with the Pysanki eggs that are a Ukrainian Easter egg that's a really detailed and really artistic, beautiful, beautiful Easter eggs. And that's something that's been done for hundreds and hundreds of years across the world. And so she's going to be demonstrating that this weekend. And sometimes it has to do with the animals, sometimes it has to do with a particular skill, sometimes it's something that you can join in and make something to take home too. So that's every single weekend at 1:30, and we call it Step Back in Time. There's also, following that, we have historic park tours every weekend. So those are at 2:30. So you come in, you can get a really nice introduction to a certain aspect of the park with a Step Back in Time at 1:30, stick around and get a guided tour of every house in the historic park at 2:30 with one of our interpreters who can answer all your questions about all of these cool old things that are filling our houses that you may not have ever seen before. You can ask all the questions you want to about how the houses were built, where they came from, how we got them up here on the mountain. So that's a really great opportunity. That's just with regular admission every single weekend. 1:30 and 2:30. We've got something for you to do every Saturday and Sunday.
Saturdays and Sundays.
And sometimes you can see some of our affinity groups. We have several groups that utilize Burritt on the Mountain to gather and talk about their specific craft or skill that they want to learn more about and preserve. For example, the Huntsville Forge Association, the blacksmiths come up to Burritt and use our blacksmith shop, and they meet once a month, and they love to entertain the guests that are coming through Burritt and tell a little bit about what they're doing and show them how somebody might have made a nail or made some type of S-hook, or they may be working on their own project. We also have Woodcrafters Association, and they have meetings there, and they're helping us with one of our projects now. They love to help us with their skills. We have the Dulcimer Association who've come to Burritt and given wonderful, fun concerts, or HTMA, Huntsville Traditional Music Association. So you just never know who may be on the front porch of a house playing a fiddle or in the blacksmith shop pounding some iron.
Yeah, you know, and it's amazing too, I think, because whenever someone tours the property of the Burritt, it really kind of takes you back. And it's really kind of weird when you think about it in one sense, because I just came from contemporary America, you know, downtown Huntsville, technology capital of the South. And then I drive up the mountain, and it's like it's 100 years ago. Not in the future, but ago. And you're kind of walking around and you're marveling at these things that are taking place, and you're kind of in your head imagining, at least I am, imagining what life would have been like had I been alive at that time. And in one sense, it actually gives you a greater appreciation for what we have now. But it also gives me a great appreciation for what people did then.
Oh, yeah.
It's just what the resources they had then compared to what we have now, and the ease of function and performance and operation now versus what they had then. I mean, it's a pretty remarkable thing to experience.
One of the things that I see from time to time is the hearth cooking.
Yes.
And that will give you an appreciation for what women went through, how much strength and how much time it took.
And sweat.
Tell them about our hearth cooking.
We have open hearth cooking days, one on the first Saturday of every March, one on the first Saturday of every November. Notice we do it in the cooler months of the year. And then we also have cooks cooking out there occasionally throughout the year, but on those two main days in March and November, we have a cook in every one of our houses in the historic park. That's 6 different houses. And I am often among them, and we'll cook all day long. So, of course, we're cooking over coals, over the fire, doing it the really old-fashioned way. And we always try to cook using seasonal ingredients, the kinds of things that people living in these houses would have had available to them. So we cook all day long, and there's almost always something to share with visitors, too. So there's something for you if you come on that day, too. And then at the end of the day, we all come together and share a really big family-style meal, and it's always so much more than what you could eat, and just the best family style, just like in the good old-fashioned days. And oh, that food is so good. And the work that goes into it makes it that much better, too.
Yeah. And every once in a while, we have a specific volunteer that will teach classes. So if that interests anybody listening, that they can learn how to take care of their family even if the lights go out during a tornado or a bad storm, and they have a fireplace.
Yeah. You know, when you walk through the area again and you see houses from the period, and you think about some of the weather conditions that we deal with today, and as much as I love heat in the winter, and a nice
air conditioning
cool breeze
in the summer.
Yes. From the air conditioning, you know, you walk through those places and you think, boy, you know, I'm not sure how they managed to do it back then.
We've gotten pretty spoiled.
Yeah, we really have. But it's a remarkable thing to see and understand how life was lived.
But it's also remarkable to see how they dealt with it themselves. I mean, I've learned since working there that about banking coals in a fireplace and having the walls heat up overnight if you have the coals banked, and certain types of dress. You may not understand how they dressed for to be cooler in the summer, when you think that if you look at what they're wearing that it would be so hot. The technology is very, very interesting of everything they did, from taking a bath to cooking, to taking care of the chores, to chopping wood, to just, you know, plowing and the whole thing. It's very interesting, and we have people who know about these things.
Wow.
I'm glad you mentioned technology. That's one thing I always really like to mention in my tours of the historic park, that especially in Huntsville, of course, you know, we have technology here, and it's very modern technology, and we think technology must involve computer chips and batteries at least.
At least electricity.
Technology, you can see this in our historic park because people started innovating. You know, you can go into our earliest house, which is actually older than the state of Alabama, the Edens House, built in 1810, and compare what life was like for people in that house to what it was like for people in the Balch House, which was built in the 1890s, and see how over time people have been innovating. They're finding newer and better ways to get these things done, just like we have today. You know, humans are always thinking of a better way to do something, and I really like looking at the historic park through that lens, because we're kind of have it organized chronologically, so you can compare and see how this innovative spirit that we have here in Huntsville is something that's been around for a long time. People have always been trying to figure out a better way.
Right. How did you get involved as historic park manager?
Well, my education is in history. My degree is in history and education. And so I've come into Burritt through the education program there. Still work with our education department, and just love the work that I get to do with children. We have so many field trips. We do summer camps and spring break camps, and I love being able to really interact with people on a personal basis and share the passion that I've learned for these things. And I'm now almost done with my master's degree in history also, so I'm adding that to this and bringing my specialization into the historic park.
And speaking of technology, she also does distance learning.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So we actually get to reach and work with classes from across the whole country. And also we work with a lot of senior centers, and I work with people in California and New York and Ohio and Minnesota, and people from all over the country are reaching out to us and asking us to share the information that we've gathered at Burritt too, which I think is really exciting.
We actually have a very international guest list. Because we're in the same city as the Space and Rocket Center. Children may come here for space camp, and the families are looking online to see what else is there to do in Huntsville. So we will get people from all over the world come through Burritt on the Mountain and be very interested in comparing our history with their history, our past technology with their past technology. And we've just run the gamut of visitors from around the world. And I think it's just really, really something to say when you can say that Huntsville's very unique in many ways, but one of the things that it's unique about is that in one city, you can go to two places and you can see where we've been and where we're going.
That's extremely unique, I would imagine. And Kelly, you mentioned a lot of kids coming. I would imagine that a lot of kids who come are primed and ready to ask lots of questions. And it must be a very engaging experience to work with young people, especially high school kids who are perhaps studying a lot of these things.
Absolutely.
And they're seeing them and asking lots of questions. So I guess that's a pretty exciting part of the job.
Yes, I really love what you can do with the history that we have. We have history that you can touch. You know, it's different from reading it in a textbook or reading it in any kind of book. You know, when you can really see the places these people lived in and hold the kinds of tools that they used and imagine what life was really like. It's a much different way of engaging with the past. And I think it can really make the connections happen in a way that is hard to get through. Sometimes history can seem dry, and I'm the last person to say that it is because I love history. But when you see it in the way we have it presented at Burritt, it can really come to life for you. And you can really think about what life was like for our ancestors just a couple hundred years ago.
And that's what it's really all about. And that's why I'm glad you all had a chance to come today. We've got just a couple of minutes left in the broadcast, but we want to make sure people can know how to get in touch with you all. Phone numbers, websites, social media sites. Tell people what they can do to connect with the Burritt. Now, of course, you have memberships as well.
Absolutely. A family membership pays for the entire family to come year-round, with the exception of Mondays. We're not open on Mondays, but every regular operating hours that they can come for free for their family membership. We have grandparents memberships, and they can find out all about this at burrittonthemountain.com. Our emails are on the website if they want to contact us with any questions. We have rentals. It's a great wedding venue. We have a lot of information about all of that. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest. So we're very accessible.
You mentioned weddings, family reunions.
Family reunions, absolutely. Yes, we have an old country church that is very, very handy for family reunions and weddings. Excuse me, we haven't even mentioned that one of the best aspects of Burritt on the Mountain is our view.
Oh, wow.
And the view is fantastic for our concerts that we have in the summer and the weddings. And so it's just outdoors and beautiful and high above the city. It's fantastic.
It's a great activity destination. As I said earlier, you've got a great facility there that accommodates those kinds of things. And the view is second to none. It just overlooks the entire city. Beautiful at night. And, I mean, it's just an amazing, amazing place. And I know that you both are proud of the fact that you work there and have these wonderful opportunities to talk about how people can learn more about Burritt on the Mountain.
Yes, thanks for having us.
Yeah, well, it's been good having you again. Tell us again the website, real easy to remember. I think I've got it.
Burritt on the Mountain, 2 R's, 2 T's.
.com. All right. And of course, everybody, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and all that other stuff that people do on social media. You definitely want to stay connected. And you guys got lots of stuff going on. You're always pushing information out. And just want people to come.
Thank you very much. We do. We'd love to have you.
All right.
Glad we could be here.
Oh, it's good to have both of you here. Caroline Kelly, again, she's Development Director with Burritt on the Mountain, and doing a great job of communicating information about what you all are doing out there.
Thank you.
Kelly Fisk, that's interesting. Caroline Kelly, Kelly Fisk, got the Kellys here.
We get each other's emails quite often.
I can imagine. It's Historic Park Director, and we thank you for being here as well.
Happy to be here.
Again, Burritt on the Mountain, burrittonthemountain.com, and definitely connect and find out about all the great things that are happening at this wonderful community resource that's right here in this community. Thank you for being with us today, and I hope that you'll join us for our next edition of Impact. I'm Kenny Anderson. Hope you have a great day.